Soy madre, soy madre, soy madre, soy madre.
Hello to my fellow audience. I'm Chiwen, the founder of Spiritual Integrator. I feel very delighted to be here today with a very experienced shamanic healer, Orion, who has inherited the most primitive and ancient shamanic traditions, spirits, healing, and rituals. Apart from his role being a shamanic healer, he is also a shamanic teacher who has been teaching shamanic healing course for almost 10 years. Let us warmly welcome Orion to share with us his experience in this special interview.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I understand that this is already the 9th year you have run the shamanic healing course, and soon to be the 10 years. I'm sure that the healing constitutes an important aspect of your life, and with such a rich healing experience and knowledge, there must be many stories that are worth sharing with our Chinese audience. As an initiated shamanic healer, you have such a different life and healing experience compared to others. Can you share with our Chinese audience what the difference is between the modern and the initiated shaman? And what do you think the healing is really about?
Yes. Anthropology started in the 1960s, and the first place they went to was the Tungus people up in northern Russia, and they studied them. And the word there for the healer was a Saman, one who knows. And from there, the English world then said, okay, the medicine people were called shaman, came from Saman, from the Tungus people. Now, the old ways compared to the new ways, the shamanic trainee goes through multiple teachers and over a long apprenticeship and comes through an ordeal, which is about initiation.
Yep.
Now, the modern world these days, some people say, okay, well, I did a weekend course online and they gave me a certificate saying I'm a shaman. Well, that's not quite what a shaman is. So it's the old traditional ways of multiple teachers and coming through initiation, which means that you go through an ordeal. And in my case, I went through a 10-day ordeal in the desert. And then one question you can always ask people if they say they're a shaman, say, what traditions are you initiated in? And if they can answer that question, then they will be legitimate. If they can't answer that question, then they're not an initiated shaman.
So what you're saying is that as an initiated shaman, they inherit the traditions, culture, and the spirit from a particular shamanic tribes, and understanding their shamanic origins and passing those traditions, including maybe they have some secret rituals, and then pass them to the next generation. So it's more about inherit the old traditions and passing to the new one.
That's exactly right. It's a learned experience. So it's not about studying textbooks. It's not about doing exams. It is about learning how the rituals work, how to perform the rituals, and being with your teacher on a day-by-day basis and learning the experience of healing. And that's the way I teach as well. My students learn by doing and experiencing what we do, and that way they are legitimate healers.
Yeah, so they are not only learning skills, because modern days, we attend like a workshop for a few weeks or a few days, and we think we learn the skill from it. But I think apart from the healing skills, I think the most important is as a healer, we experience the healing for ourselves as well as part of the journey, and it's part of the learning, I believe so.
That is correct, and it's really important that when you walk this path, that you actually experience what you do, so that it would make the whole experience authentic.
I totally agree. And this is the difference from the modern healers, shamanic healers, and who have no connection to the primitive shamanic tribes and then only focusing on learning skills and then, from the textbook, which is not the true essence of shamanism.
That's correct.
So what do you think healing is really about?
Well, what is different about shamanic healing is that we are stewards of the soul. And so we heal on a soul level, on an emotional level, on a body level, and also on an intellectual level. So one of my favorite sayings these days is, when the body leads, the heart and mind will follow. So it's on those 4 areas that we concentrate on, and that's the shamanic healing process.
I totally agree. So a lot of people will only think that we are only physical bodies. So we are physical beings, but actually we are not only physical. There are different levels of beings. We are multi-dimensional level, I think. So which includes the body, which is the physical body, and the mind and the soul, which is the spirit, which is the spirit. And our physical body is within the spirit, not the spirit in our physical body, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. It goes to the old Zen saying, you'll hear many words in your life, you won't remember hardly any of them, but you'll never forget how someone made you feel.
Yeah.
And so when we come to feel, this is about trauma, we feel the trauma. The mind has some idea what's going on, but so when we work with people, it is about their feeling nature, and not so much what's happening in their mind, but how they feel about things. And that's the basis of healing.
Yeah, and the feeling is not something that comes from your mind. It's
That is
something
correct.
comes from your heart and your spirit.
That's correct.
I believe when some people say, "Oh, it really touched my heart,"
Yes.
it's actually the
Yes.
spirit feels something,
Yes.
and you touch one people's spirit, and which is, I think, where the healing's from.
Yes, that's correct.
And nowadays, a lot of people have lots of emotions.
Yes.
Well, due to a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And I believe the emotions can also affect body health, right?
Yes. And what the latest in neuroscience is that, if you didn't feel safe as a child, neuroscience now says you have what's called negative attunement, which means that in your subconscious, you don't feel safe.
Yeah.
And so you travel through this life and having in your subconscious not feeling safe, it's very difficult to form strong relationships that last. So it's really important that we look at our relationship with our parents. Were our parents emotionally present, or were they emotionally absent? Did we go through a loving childhood where we were nurtured, or was it a journey alone? And all that sets somebody up for their life and their life experiences. So we work from that basis and move forward.
Yeah, I think all those emotions and which memory contains the emotions, they are all stored in our bodies that just we can't really see with our bare eyes, and then it can either not detect it from the equipment and detect by the doctor, but it's stored in our body as part of the memory, and which will affect body's neural system and impact the health eventually.
That's correct. And not only will it affect the neural systems and the emotional, but when it's when we are traumatized, it affects our health, it affects our how we eat, it affects how we behave, all of
and
that,
also the actions.
And so the whole process affects every part of the human psyche.
Yeah, and also the nowadays scientific proof that the DNA that we inherited from our parents can impact our mindset as well.
Yes, it can.
Because most of people will think the DNA we will inherit some disease.
Yes.
But not only that, they can only affect people's mindset.
Yes, that's correct. And the thing about DNA is that it's constantly changing. So when we change and we move into different phases of our life, our DNA changes, and that impacts DNA around us as well. It's been interesting for me that when people are highly traumatized and they live with their family, then the family becomes highly traumatized. And when the father, for instance, is at peace and loving and all that, then the family is at peace and loving. And that affects our DNA, it affects our behavior, it affects our relationships, all of that.
The thing is always changing. There's
Yes, it
nothing
is.
that is fixed
That
in the
is correct.
universe.
That's
So
correct.
it's same with our DNA as well.
That's
As we
correct.
heal ourselves or
Yeah.
as we transform these traumatized
Yeah.
memories
Yes.
from our family lines,
Yes.
our DNA has changed.
Yes.
And we can pass those things to
Yes.
our next generations.
Yes.
So from what you have just said, we have realized that the healing is not only about physical body.
That's correct.
It's about balancing our body, mind, and soul.
Yes.
3 levels,
Yes.
like different levels,
Yes.
into harmony.
Yes.
And this is what the true essence of healing.
Yes.
And I think it is very important for the healers
Yes.
to have this deeper understanding of what the true essence of healing is.
Yes.
And then this will help other
Yes.
people to establish a
Yes.
correct perception
Yes.
of healing, of shamanic healing,
Yes.
and assist them in their own healing journey.
And also importantly, we talk about emotional healing, matters of the heart, and they have a large impact on it. So we add the fourth subject, and we look at the heart and see, whether the heart is wounded, whether the heart is broken, whether the heart is sad, whether the heart is happy, how we feel about things, which is very important as well.
Yes, totally believe so. So I believe our audience now has a good understanding of what shamanic healing is really about and what it means to be an initiated shaman. And most importantly, I think our audience now has understand the true essence of healing.
Yes.
It's not about physical body.
Yes.
It's about your whole different levels of balance.
Yes.
And whether they are in a good state.
Yes.
So it's multi-dimensional health, not only one state of health.
Yes, that's correct.